Hi guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can tell here, I have a comparison of what I would consider the top 5 softest chord coloured pencils that I've tested in any case. Now, the main reason why I wanted to do this was to compare the Derwent Chromaflow with Prismacolor. But then I threw in the Derwent ColourSoft, and then I thought to myself, well, you know, I might as well put in some other what are considered soft chord coloured pencils, and so I've done that. I've added 2 other pencils into the mix, but primarily this comparison is for the Prismacolor against the Derwent Chromaflow and the Derwent ColourSoft. And so you can see here that I've done a series of tests. Up along the top here, I've done a blending test, which is just a series of colours, blending them in to one another to create this gradient. Then I've done a layering test just to see how many layers that the pencil is capable of doing. And then down at the bottom here, I've got these spheres just so that I can do an odourless mineral spirits test. But I'm kind of in 2 minds as to whether to do an odourless mineral spirits test or use a blending pencil on these to blend them in. And I think I'll just go with the blending pencil, because I've done odourless mineral spirits on all of these pencils in any case in separate tests. So you'll be able to see, if you want to know how they react with odourless mineral spirits, you'll be able to see that. But I haven't done very many with a blending pencil. And so for the purpose of this test, I'm going to be using the Caran d'Ache Full Blender, which is just, this one here, as you can see, is just a, there's no wood around it, there's no barrel, so to speak. It's just a complete blender, and I actually happen to think that this particular Caran d'Ache blender is the best blender or pencil blender on the market. I'm yet to test this new pencil one that they've brought out, so I'm going to have to test that and see what the results are from that. I've got a funny feeling it's just going to be exactly the same. I've got a feeling that it's going to be just this with a wood barrel around it, but we'll see. That's not what the review's about in any case. So I'm gonna do these spheres here, just to see how they react with the blending pencil, and I'll talk as I'm going through it. As I'm doing each one, I'll talk about the particular pencil and any issues or problems that I encountered whenever I was doing the tests. But you can see for yourself, there'll be an image popping up on the screen as well, as there always is, but you can see from yourself which pencils are really saturated, which are not so much, and then, you know, we'll talk about the layering factor and the blending. So the first one I'm going to do here is the Prismacolor Premier, so just let me zoom in. Now the paper that I'm using for this is it's a watercolor paper from Derwent. It's a hot pressed watercolor paper. It's not a very high quality paper, but nevertheless it's a nice paper to work on if you're doing things like this. So now, like I said, the only reason I'm not using odourless mineral spirits in this test, and I know I've labelled these as OS odourless mineral spirits, is because I've done odourless mineral spirits. I've tested all of them with odourless mineral spirits, so I thought, just for a difference here, that I would do the blending pencil. And you can see here already the effects that this blending pencil gives you. Now, what this test is going to show us is how the ingredients, the core ingredients of the pencil breaks down, and allows us to create this gradient, if that's what it is that you're trying to create, or get rid of the white of the paper. Whenever you're doing layering on with color pencil, it's advised, it's not a hard and fast rule or anything like that, but it's advised that, you apply as many light layers as you can until you have achieved the look that you're after. And then after that, once you're happy with the way the project is looking, on the final layers you would either use a lighter version of the pencils that you've been using. So in this case here, I would use like a really pale blue to blend all this together. The only problem with that is, and with a white pencil as well, because a lot of people would use a white pencil for that, is that you run the risk of lightening the darker values of the work. Where a colourless blender comes in is it's not adding any colour to your blending. So whenever you're applying heavy pressure to get rid of the tooth of the paper, because you're not going to be applying any more layers with a colourless blender, you're not contaminating any of the colours, so you're still going to get a good all of the value range that you've worked hard to keep in there with your light layers and what have you. They're not going to be rubbed away with a lighter colour pencil or anything like that. Now, odourless mineral spirits, I don't personally use it in my work, but I know a lot of you guys do, and you get excellent results by it. But for me, this Caran d'Ache blending pencil is what I always turn to. But anyway, as you can see here, the Prismacolor Premier, which is what we're talking about, has broken down really, really well. And at the end of this, I'll show you a before and after of what these spheres look like with being, just with light layers and then with the blending applied. Now, when I was doing the blending here with the Prismacolor, as you can see, I used as many blues as I could from the same value range, from the same color family, and just used a dark value and all the way to a light value. Now, with some of these pencils, I didn't have enough colors to create like a nice smooth gradient, but that's not really what the test is about. It's about seeing whether these colors all mix in well together. And as you can see here with Prismacolor, it does. Prismacolor is a gorgeous pencil. I know that some people have issue with Prismacolor and the quality control that they have in terms of the core breaking, but guys, I think what you've got to understand is, if you want to use, if your preference is a soft cored pencil, you are just going to have to accept the fact that there are going to be breakage issues. It's just the nature of that type of medium. It's no accident that when you're using, say, like the Derwent Artist or Faber-Castell Polychromos, or even the Derwent Lightfast or the Caran d'Ache Luminance, which are not terribly harder than Prismacolor, but they are harder core. But it's no accident that you will experience much less breakage with a harder core pencil than what you will do with a soft core pencil like Prismacolor. So unfortunately, if this is the type of medium that you want to use, and if this is what your preference is, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're going to get breakages. Now, as you can see here on the layer test, I got a really nice smooth layer. It accepted 7 layers before, like applying an 8th layer wasn't going to work. By the time I got to the 7th layer, there wasn't much in the way of change happening, and you'll be able to see that from the video image that I've just been showing you there, that once I got to the 6th layer, this 7th layer didn't really create much of a difference, so that's where I stopped. Now don't forget, this is hot pressed paper, so it's relatively smooth. I will dare say that if I was using a paper something like the Derwent Lightfast paper or the Fabriano Artistico paper, which is a much more absorbent paper and a much more toothed paper, textured paper, I probably could have got a few more layers, but for the purpose of this test, this is what it was. So next on, we're going to go up with the Derwent Chromaflow. Now, see, I tried to use different colours for all of these blending tests for the simple purpose of just, it not looking uniform all the way across it. I'm not 100% happy with the colours that I used here, but in terms of a smooth blend, this was the best I could get with the greens, which probably doesn't represent the Chromaflow accurately. But if we come down here to the layering test, so I got 8 layers on here, and you can see again, very smooth layer, very similar to the Prismacolor, and as you'll be able to see from the video as well, that by the 8th layer, I just couldn't apply any more. If I'd have put another layer on top of that, it just wouldn't have changed anything in terms of the value. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the blending test here. Now, all of these pencils, strangely enough, have similar sized barrels and cores, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So again here, in with the blending pencil, I'll probably, with the remainder of these spheres, I'll speed them up a little bit as I run out of things to say. But again, for anybody that's new to colour pencil work, the reason why you would use this type of instrument in your work is, like I said earlier on there, just to smooth out the tooth of the paper. It's basically like melting all of the layers that you've applied and melting them all together to create the look that you're going for. You can clearly see that there's the white of the paper showing through, and then as I go over it with the blender, that white of the paper is gone. It's important that when you're doing this, but that you get rid of these little flecks, these little crumbs that come off the blender. What I will say is, if you are a colour pencil artist and you have arthritis in your wrists or your hands or something like that, this method probably would not be a preferable method for you whenever it comes to blending your colours together. Odorless mineral spirits would definitely be the better way forward, because you're going to be putting less strain on your wrist and your hands. When you use this method, you are applying a very heavy pressure. It's a combination of the heavy pressure and the blending stick itself that allows you to create the look that you're going for. There we go. So you can see there the Chromaflow has blended really nicely together. Next up is the Faber-Castell Super Soft. That's the black set of pencils that I've reviewed individually in the past, and I've just added it onto this test as well. I don't necessarily think that the Faber-Castell Black Edition is a really soft core, but it's being marketed as a soft core, and so that was the reason why I put it into this test. In terms of the softness of the core, the Prismacolor, I would say, is the softest cored pencil out there. Not by a long shot, but it is the softest cored pencil out there. And the Faber-Castell, so if we said, for argument's sake, the Prismacolor rates 10 on the soft core scale, I would say that the Faber-Castell Super Soft rates, 10 being the most soft, 1 being the least soft. I would say that Faber-Castell Super Soft would probably rate around about a 4, so not really that soft. As you can see here in the blending test, but a relatively seamless blend. Nothing too... The only thing about the Faber-Castell Super Soft is it on this paper, on these particular tests, it just doesn't look very saturated, the colours and stuff like that. And when I was looking through the pencils to get like a gradient of colours, I noticed that a lot of the colours, a lot of the reds and the oranges and stuff like that, there were all of very similar in terms of their saturation levels. But next test was the layer test, and this is where the Faber-Castell Super Soft really let itself down. So I was only able to get 5 layers on this, and then it was just getting really like tacky, sticky, and I just wasn't able to apply any more layers. Now the layer in itself is not too bad. It's not terribly patchy. It's certainly not as good as the Prismacolor and the Derwent Chromaflow, which you would expect, but 5 layers is all I got on this paper. Now, like I said, same with the Prismacolor and the Derwent Chromaflow. I will dare say if I used something like the Derwent Lightfast paper or the Fabriano Artistico paper, I probably could have got more layers. But at the end of the day, regardless of the paper that we're using here, all of the tests are on the same paper, so it's still is cross-platform in that respect in terms of different papers. So sorry about that. So next we're going to do is this blending test here. I'll speed this up for you. That is the end result there of the blending pencil test. So not a bad finish on the sphere, but like I said, with the layering on this paper, only 5 layers, so not that great. Okay, next up we have the Derwent ColourSoft, and again, as you can see here, I got some colours that were similar from the same kind of family, but just different values. And the blending test here, now I have to say, by the time I got to this one, I was in a little bit of pain, and I started to try and rush this when I shouldn't have done. I should have stopped, and I should have went and sat down, but I didn't. And that's why it's a little bit patchy here. As you can see here as well, with the layering test, I would say that this is I know I've put 8 layers here, but I would say that this was this by the time we got to the 7th layer, that's where I should have stopped. I shouldn't have went on and tried another layer on that. So I'm going to keep the Derwent ColourSoft at 7 layers as opposed to the 8 that I have there, because you can see there that the marks that it's made, and that was because of me applying pressure to it, which isn't really the purpose of a layering test. The purpose of a layering test is to apply as many light layers as you can get to the point where when you are applying your next layer, it's not making a change, it's not making a difference. Well, when I got to this one here with the Derwent ColourSoft, I started applying heavier pressure for the 8th layer, and I shouldn't have done. So like I said, keep this one at 7. Next up we're going to do here is the blending test. Now the thing here that to notice with this ColourSoft one is when you look at the sphere, you can see an awful lot of white under it, and it's because of that white that the colours don't look very saturated. But now as I'm using the blending stick, I'm blending it all together and getting, you know, pushing down hard on the tooth of the paper, getting rid of the tooth and highlighting the beautiful colours. You can see that the sphere is getting much more saturated in colour, and so another nice thing about this is, as I'm doing this with the blending pencil, I can see the colour moving, and what I mean by that is, as I'm going into the lighter, so you can see up around here by the lighter areas of the sphere, it looks like there's hardly any colour. So ideally, pushing colour from the darker areas, which is the reason why I work from dark to light, hoping that the colour will move a little bit. And it is here with the Derwent ColourSoft, you can clearly see it, but you'll probably be able to see it better once we've finished it. Okay, so with the blending test there on the Derwent ColourSoft, I think you can see for yourself, once I used the blending pencil, the sphere itself became much more saturated than what it appeared before it was blended in, and that was just due to a lot of the white of the paper coming through. When I look at the Derwent ColourSoft and the Prismacolor, when I was using both of these pencils together, and it's really difficult because as I'm doing these tests, I'm writing down notes of how the pencil feels, the reactions I'm getting from the pencil under the paper. So I'm writing all of these notes down to try and be able to compare them together whenever it comes to doing the video. And the thing about the Derwent ColourSoft and the Prismacolor is, in terms of the core softness, the scale that I made up there earlier on was Prismacolor 10 being the most soft and 1 being the least soft. I would have the Derwent ColourSoft at around about 9. Not quite as soft as Prismacolor, but definitely up there. But here's the difference. With the Prismacolor, now you guys know I don't go in for all this oil and wax based pencils because I've already spoke about that at great length, and you know, there are pencils that have got different types of wax which make the core hard or soft. It used to be, whenever I first started doing reviews, it used to be that people automatically assumed that if it was a wax based pencil it was soft, if it was an oil based pencil it was a hard core, which was not the case. One of the hardest course pencils that I've ever tested is the Derwent Artist, and it's considered a wax based pencil, but it's down to the type of wax that they used in that ingredient. But there's also oil in that pencil, so it took me a long time to make a video about that, but I did, and so I try not to talk about pencils in terms of wax or oil. However, when it comes to these two pencils, the best way I can describe this is, do you know, like when you're baking a cake and when you're doing all your mixture, or actually gloss paint? So the Prismacolor is more, it almost feels more sticky and gloopy whenever you are blending or layering, and you're getting up to the applying slightly heavier pressures on it. With the Derwent ColourSoft, it feels like a drier pencil, so it's almost like, not quite, but almost like using a pastel pencil, and I'm using that as a really extreme example. But if you've used a pastel pencil before, you'll understand that kind of dry feeling that you get when you're using them. So the Derwent ColourSoft, when it's compared up against the Prismacolor, they're two very, very different ingredients within the cores. However, in terms of the softness of the cores, they are very, very close together. Very close together indeed. Now, with those two pencils, bringing in the Derwent Chromaflow, I think that the Derwent Chromaflow, in terms of its softness of the core, is down round about 7 or 8. So it is a soft core pencil, but it's still a pencil that maintains its point really well, which therefore gives you a lot more layering ability. And when it comes to also as well needing to apply a little bit of pressure, the Derwent Chromaflow, I think, keeps that point a little bit longer, a little bit better, therefore giving you a slightly better coverage. So it's not like that any of these three pencils are worse than the other or anything like that. It's more about the type of artist that you are and the type of pencil that you enjoy using. That's what it's more about. Try not to look at these in terms of good or bad. We all have different ways that we like to do our art, and that's what I have found through this test in any case with regards to these three pencils. Now the final pencil that I'm going to show you here is the Giotto Dinatra. It's a pencil from Lyra, or the Fila brand, but if you look at the pencil, the image that I'm showing you here, you can see it says Lyra on it. This is kind of like down around their kids range, their teenagers range. I know when I did a review of this pencil, I got a lot of people from Europe and Italy and places like that saying that they grew up on these pencils, a little bit like you guys in America. You just grew up with Prismacolor. In the likes of Italy and stuff like that, they grew up with these pencils here. Now I love this pencil. The only downside for me about this pencil is that it's only got a 36 count, which is way too low for a pencil, I think, of this quality. Now, having said that, quality, when I'm talking about the quality, I'm talking about the core of the pencil and how it lays down and layers and blends and things like that. I'm not talking about light fast ratings, because none of these pencils really have super strong light fast ratings. If you want super high light fast ratings, you're going to have to go to a completely different category of pencil. Which, if you want to know more about, I've got a top 5 on the best light fast pencils, so I'll put a link for that down below. So anyway, you can see here the blending that I've done with the Giotto, and it's okay. It's a seamless blend, but as you would expect with a kids brand pencil, the colours aren't very saturated. Now this is because this is, light layers. As you can see here, when we get down to the actual layering test, where we're starting to apply a little, when we're coming up to the final layers and we're applying a little bit more pressure, you can see yourself the saturation levels of the pencils. They're not that bad. This blending test up here doesn't really give you a good portrayal of the pencil, and so that's why I think it's important to do all three of these tests so you can get to see how the pencil reacts in real time as well. So let's go down to the blending test here, or using the blending pencil. Let me just zoom in a little bit for you. Now, in terms of the softness of the core, so I would have the Giotto probably around about a little bit softer than the Faber-Castell Super Soft. So I would have it around about 5 or 6. Don't forget, 0 is the hardest and 10 is the softest. Okay guys, so there you have it. That's all 5 of those pencils done. I'm actually glad that I done the blending pencil rather than the odorless mineral spirits, because like I said, if you go to the individual reviews of all of these pencils, you'll get to see an odorless mineral spirits test, so you'll get to see how the pencils react to odorless mineral spirits. So it was nice to do it with the pencil on this occasion, just to show people, artists who enjoy using the colourless blenders, how the colours are going to react. But nevertheless, as you can see here, all of the pencils, with the exception of the Faber-Castell Super Soft, so the Prismacolor, the Derwent Chromaflow, the Derwent ColourSoft and the Giotto, they all kind of like layer around about the same 7 or 8 layers. The only one that really comfortably done 8 layers was the Derwent Chromaflow, which is to be expected because, like I said, it is a slightly harder core than the Prismacolor and ColourSoft and the Giotto. It wasn't like the ColourSoft, so you can see with the ColourSoft where I went wrong and why applying another layer on that was a bad idea. So you can see there with the 8 layers of the Derwent Chromaflow what the difference is. Now, in terms of the spheres down at the bottom, some of these colours, like the Derwent ColourSoft, they didn't look very saturated when they were just the light layers, but once you started applying the blending pencil, the colours became much more saturated, and so you've got to take all of that into consideration when you're thinking about buying a pencil. All of these pencils are around about the same core size, barrel size. So with the Prismacolor, it's a 3.6mm barrel and a 1.6 core. With the Chromaflow, it's a 3.5mm barrel with a 1.5 core. With the Faber-Castell Super Soft, it's a 1.6mm core. It's a triangular barrel, so there's no diameter there. The Derwent ColourSoft is 3.8mm barrel, with a 1.9 core, so slightly bigger than the Prismacolor and the Derwent Chromaflow. And then the Giotto is a 4mm barrel, so it's a nice chunky pencil, with a 1.7mm core. So the Derwent ColourSoft has got the biggest core out of all of them with a 1.9, and the Chromaflow has the smallest core with a 1.5mm. And then you've got the Prismacolor, which kind of like just falls in the middle there with a 1.6mm core. But those, at the end of the day, whatever type of artist you are, I don't like looking at tests like this and saying which one is bad and which one is, good or anything like that. Because each of these pencils are perfect for individuals out there who have their own ways of doing artwork, and they like their pencils to behave in a certain way. So one of these pencils will be perfect for you. Finally, what I would say as well is, like I said, if you have arthritis or something like that in your wrists or your hands, when it comes down to doing blending, I would advise to use odorless mineral spirits, because when you use a blending pencil like I did in this test, you're going to have heavy pressure applied to the pencil, and that's what's going to cause you discomfort and pain. Whereas if you use the odorless mineral spirits, you're not going to do that. You're not going to have any discomfort or pain while you're doing your blending. So that's it, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this test. If there's anything that you think I've missed out that you would have liked to have seen in this test, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try to get back. And if there's something specific that I left out that you would have liked to have seen in this test, I'll try to come back and do it again in another video. Also as well, let me know which one you think looks best on this test, whether it's the sphere, whether it's the layer, or whether it's the blending test. Which ones you think looks the best, and let me know if you were surprised by the other two pencils that were in this list, the Lara Giotto and the Faber-Castell Super Soft. I am sure that there are softer pencils out there that could have probably slot into these two slots. In order for me to do that, I'm having to look through all of the pencils that I have here, including the Deli and the other pencils like that. But I think that pencils like that, it's disingenuous to put those into the test, because those type of pencils are a lot more difficult for the majority of artists to get hold of. Pencils like this, the Giotto and the Faber-Castell Super Soft, they're much more easily readily available for artists, as opposed to the likes of the Deli or the Phoenix Color and the Marco. Those type of pencils that you get off AliExpress, or you've got to go to Temu for, or something like that. They're much more harder to get hold of, and so that's why I thought putting these pencils in was a better idea. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget, let me know what you think down below, and also as well, if you want, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links for that will be down below, and Instagram as well. I'm always putting stuff up on Instagram. And if you're interested in the new course that I have over on my Patreon channel, I'll have a link for that down below. So last week I put up the first part of the course. On Sunday I'm going to be putting up the second part of the course. But also as well, if you go across and you join up for that, you're going to have access to all of the other tutorials that are over there, which is like mixed media, marker, color pencil, pastel, watercolor, all kinds of tutorials over there. So you'll also gain access to those as well. Thanks very much, guys. Look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Bye.